Imagine this. Imagine going to the store and here's a can of pesticides and over here is a can of hormones. Would you go into a store and buy, oh, I want that can of hormones and I want that can of pesticides, and you bring it home and you just start drinking and eating it? Would you do that?
Did you push record?
Thank you so much for tuning in for another episode of Our Second Act with Paige and Silka
For your second act of life.
That's right, for your second act of life. Thanks so much for tuning in. Paige, I wish you were in studio that we can do this together.
I know soon, Silka. I'll be there soon.
No. Well, this is the next best thing. So we will be carrying on, in studio together and a Skype. But this way, we will be coming to you once a week with an important topic that we want to share with our demographic. And today, we're going to jump right into the heated argument, if you will, all over the internet about organic versus non-organic or GMO, Paige. Why is eating organic, why is that something that, especially at this time of our life, that we need to pay attention to?
Well, if you think about it, Silka, our population, how much did we not know when we were growing up, and the foods that we were eating, and the pesticides, and the things that weren't natural that we were ingesting in our body? And now here we are, second act of life, and we have a lot of inflammation in the body. Now, I don't know if there's any clear-cut research, A plus B equals C, this is what happens, but I can talk to you about personally with my husband who's had chronic illness with levels of inflammation, my patients with levels of inflammation, and me asking, what kind of foods do you eat? Organic, not organic. And if they're eating some organic and some not organic, what foods, especially vegetables and fruits, are they eating that they don't buy organic? Because I can tell you off the tip of my tongue, this could be right, this could not be right, but out of my research, if you're going to have certain fruits and vegetables that are not organic, because it can be very expensive, like strawberries and apples, buy organic. Buy organic. So,
well, we're going to get into that a little bit more in detail, but I do want to just, emphasize what you just said is that whole issue with inflammation.
Yes.
Why is inflammation so important, Paige? My understanding is really the root of all illness, and it gets worse and worse as we age.
Yeah, it does. And I don't think there's any pinpoint of exactly what causes every piece of inflammation, but you think about it. We're talking about organic versus non-organic right now, right?
Right.
So if we're going to ingest food that has pesticides and things that aren't healthy for you, our bodies are not meant and made for taking that in and breaking it down. So of course it's going to do something to our bodies, right?
Right.
It's just common sense. So all these layers of inflammation that go on the body create virus, create so many different chronic illness, joint pain, brain fog, difficulty with the gut issues, lesson of neurotransmitter issues that all affect everything that we do and our daily living.
Yeah. Well, and I think to me, when I read some of the controversy between the two sides, it's not, whether organic food is really more nutritious. Is it not? It is the pesticide issue. It's the hormones. It's the antibiotics.
Yes.
That's where I where I get swayed because I don't want to eat the growth hormones and everything else that is in meat. Of course, we stay away from a lot of the meat already, but in dairy products.
Yeah, and if you think about it, when we reach 50, late 40s, 50, especially for women, the hormonal changes that are going through, and then you're ingesting what you had just said into your body when we're already having hormonal issues. Right. I mean, that's a recipe for a perfect storm of issues, problems, chronic illness, you name it.
Yeah. How do we implement organic eat? I mean, is it not too late at this point? Will it make a difference? What can people expect if they just change at this point?
I'll tell you, I've seen this just with my patients and clients who are very ill. Now, of course, there was other components medically going on that they had to address, but when they changed their diet and they started eating foods that didn't have the pesticides, the antibiotics, the things that you were talking about, and they started to really pay attention to what they ingested, they started to feel better. Their brain started to operate better. Now, does that mean just eating this type of food is going to make it completely better? I would say that illness is complex. There's components to every piece of it. But when you start to turn to pesticides, herbicides, whatever it is, antibiotics, and take that out of the food that you eat, you're going to make a shift and a change in your body.
From your experience, what are some guidelines on food that you, if at all possible, buy it organic? And if not, what can you do?
So, not that I'm the expert, because we're going to have an expert on, but just what I have learned that, there's certain vegetables and fruits. If it's in the ground, buy organic. Because if there's pesticides in the ground, you don't know what's in the soil. Imagine this. Imagine going to the store, and here's a can of pesticides. And over here is a can of hormones. Would you go into a store and buy, oh, I want that can of hormones and I want that can of pesticides, and you bring it home and you just start drinking and eating it? Would you do that? I don't think so.
That's a great point.
So when you think about your food, really choose, do I want to drink those hormones? Do I want to drink those pesticides? Do I want to drink or eat those antibiotics? So I know your original question was, were there specific foods? I do know strawberries and apples, I've been told to make sure that you always get organic. And there's going to be times that you can't get organic for whatever reason. And
why is that? Why are strawberries and
I'm not sure. I don't know, but I've always been told, and what I've read is that strawberries and apples, if you're going to do anything, I don't know if it's because it seeps so much into the fruit. That might be a really good question for our expert.
Yeah.
For her to validate or not. But a tip that if you have some vegetables and fruits that you just for whatever reason couldn't get organic, get a bowl of water, put it in the sink, put them in there, and then pour white vinegar in there. And just let it sit for a few minutes, take it out and let it dry. It's supposed to kind of pull things out. They also have particular lights, bulbs that you can buy, that you can put the food, fruits, vegetables underneath that are supposed to extract and pull out the impurities of it. You can also use Reiki or types of energy work to actually put over your food energetically that changes and shifts the food better so your body can digest and it's healthier.
And there's going to be people out there listening going, oh yeah, this woohoo stuff, and the scientists, that create all this GMO stuff.
Sure.
What do you say to that argument that, GMO is better really than organic because you can produce more, you take up less land? I mean, I don't know if we really even want to go down that road.
I'll go down that road.
Okay.
I'll say let's talk about that. I go back to, because you know how much that I work with the body, right? So
right.
Anything, I'm going to go back to walking in that store and picking up those hormones and picking up those antibiotics.
Yeah.
If it's not natural to our body, there's always going to be some type of an effect that happens within the body. And not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, and energetically as well. So we can reproduce as much as you want, but how are we reproducing it? And can it digest, and does it fit into the natural component of our bodies? Probably not. So why not, when you're in a grocery store, pick up things that don't have pesticides or hormones or antibiotics in it? Wouldn't that just make sense? But I do want to say one thing about that, Soka.
Okay.
I believe that every person in the world should be able to afford to eat organic food. It should not be at a high price. Because guess what? You don't take care of your body, you end up in the doctor's office, you end up with illness, you end up with disease, and that wraps into the healthcare system and the high costs. I mean, it's a whole vicious cycle.
Yeah. Well, and I think that there's a lot of people out there, bringing us organic food at an affordable price. There's all kinds of new businesses.
Thank God.
Cropping up, for lack of a better word, and we're going to be linking to lots of that into articles, etc. We're also going to be talking with nutritionists that specialize and know a lot about organic cooking and preparation. So, we'll be bringing you some specific ways of being able to implement healthy organic eating. I'm excited about talking to our experts, and I'm so looking forward to having you back in studio soon. Thank you for joining us on Our Second Act with Paige and Silka.
For your second act of life.
I'm having fun with that tagline. Okay, Paige, talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon, Silka. Bye.
So glad you were able to join us today, and I hope you found this information useful. For more information about eating organic and lots of nutrition advice, especially for us Life After 50, be sure to visit our website, secondact.tv, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. There's the button. Thank you.